Hello there and welcome to another video. My name is James and I'm coming to you this morning from the Miele Experience Centre on the Gold Coast. And what I'm going to show you today is how to prepare a beef bone broth. Now beef bone broths or bone broths in general are very restorative, and this year, coming into the colder weather, something that I'm going to be cooking at home, and I'm going to show you how easy it is. I'm going to be cooking it today within our steam oven, but it can be prepared on the stovetop in a pot, but I'm just going to show you how easy it is in the steam oven. So let's talk about the ingredients that you're going to need for this beef bone broth. The most important ingredient is, of course, the beef bones. Now, the beef bones at the moment, I have just had roasting within this oven at 180 degrees until they're really nice and golden brown. So let's just have a look. So we'll pull these out. They're really nice and brown. It's really important to get them really nice and brown in the oven first. We're going to get a lot of flavour and a lot of colour. Now what I've chosen to use today is some oxtail and also some brisket bones. Now if you can find the beef neck bones, they are also very, very good because they've got the meat on them. So you can shred up the meat, you can actually put that through the broth or through the soup when you're finished. But I couldn't find any neck bones, so I've gone for oxtail. That's really good as well because you've got the meat within there. And I've probably got about 1.5 kilos of beef bones altogether. And they've been roasting at 180 degrees for probably about 25 to 30 minutes or until they're really nice and golden brown. Once they have achieved some really, really good colour, is we're just going to take them off the tray. And it's very important, we need to drain away that fat. We don't want the fat within the broth. So we're just going to take the beef bones out, off the tray. And we've got some really, really good colour, amazing colour. I've taken the beef bones off the tray and I have drained away all the fat. Just tipped it into a bowl. We're going to make sure we discard that correctly. You'll see that there is quite a bit of sediment on the tray here. And what we're going to do is just a little bit of water. We're just going to, just with a little spatula, just agitate that sediment off the base of the tray. A little bit more water if you need to. Right, just like that. Comes off really easy. These trays are really easy to clean as well. And it's that sediment that we get off that we're going to also place into our beef broth when we start to cook it. Make sure you do this step, you'll just get a lot more flavour. Okay, so we've removed the beef bones from the tray and we've got them right here. So that's ingredient number one. So what we're going to do, we're going to go through the aromatic ingredients now. So what I have here in this pan, we've got some onions. Now, what I've done with these onions is, if I just turn them upside down here, what I've done with these onions is I've just browned them in a pan. And I've cut them in half across the equator there, and I've just browned them. I've got some really, really good colour. So it's very important to do this to your onions, and they'll break apart like that, you can see, but we just get some really, really good colour there. So I've got 2 onions that I've cut in half. I've got 2 carrots. Now these carrots I've just roughly cut, all right? So 2 carrots. I've got 2 tomatoes. So these are some Roma tomatoes, any tomatoes will do. And I've just cut those in half, like so. I have a good sprig of parsley. This is curly parsley, a lot more deeper flavour. Stalks and all, so there's some curly parsley, just a good sprig, that much there. In this little container, I have, how many have I got? I think I've got 10 black peppercorns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 10. 10 black peppercorns and a star anise. The star anise is going to make the meat just taste a lot more meatier, and it's going to bring out some more flavour in the onions. So star anise, good little tip. Anytime you're cooking anything with meat or onions, star anise is going to be your friend. Here, a very important ingredient, if you can find it, what this is konbu, which is a dried seaweed. So here we've got a lot of umami and a lot of flavour, and we're going to add some savouriness to the bone broth. I have 4 dried shiitake mushrooms. Now these shiitake mushrooms have just been soaking in a little bit of boiling water for about 20 minutes just to get off some of the grit, and then we've drained it. So we've drained it, and I've got the shiitake, the dried shiitake mushroom liquid there because some of the flavours come out. We just want to get rid of a bit of that grit. I have 3 garlic cloves that I've just crushed with the back of a knife, and what I've got here is 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. That's quite important. It's just going to help break the bones down as they cook. And the last ingredient, which is very, very important, is some cold water. Now this water I've just got from the tap, and I've got 2 litres here at the moment. Depending on the size of the container that you're cooking the bone broth in, you might need more, you might need less. So I've got 2 litres to start with. This is the container I'm cooking the bone broth in. Quite deep, it's going to hold quite a fair bit of liquid. So here we go. What we're going to do is just place all the ingredients within this deep tray. Start with my bones. In they go. Now you'll have a bit of fat that's at the base as well. Let's not incorporate the fat here. We're not going to pour that in. We're just going to carefully drop them in. We're going to take our onions. So there's our brown onions. We're going to pop those in. Let's get our parsley stalks. Here we go. Kombu. Tuck that in there. Carrots. In with the carrots. Whoop, drop one. There we go. In with the tomatoes. We have the star anise and the 10 black peppercorns. There we are. Garlic cloves. This is the liquid from the shiitake mushrooms that were soaking prior. Shiitake mushrooms. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here we have the apple cider vinegar. Now don't forget the sediment that you scraped off the tray that we roasted the beef bones in. So we pop that in as well, that's very important. And then finally, we're just going to top up with a little bit of cold water from the tap. Pour that all over there. There we go. So that was 2 litres of water, and that's good, that's really good. Lovely. And we're just going to submerge all those ingredients into there. So my bone broth is now ready to begin cooking. And as I said earlier, I'm going to cook that within a Miele steam oven. And what I'm going to do is, I'm going to set the temperature at 95 degrees, and I'm going to cook that for a duration of 6 hours. So all the ingredients are in the tray here. We're going to turn around to our steam oven. We're going to open up the door, and we're going to place the bone broth within the steam oven. There we go. Now, my jug, I have filled with water to the maximum level, so I need the water to create the steam. And as I said, 95 degrees for 6 hours. So we'll set that now. Now I've got 6 hours to kill, so I'm going to find myself a really, really good book. I'm going to put my feet up, and I'll see you in 6 hours. Okay, that's been 6 hours. My bone broth is ready, and you saw me just on my little phone there. I was actually looking at the Miele mobile app, and while I was up in the office reading one of my many thousands of cookbooks, I got a little alert telling me that my steam oven had finished. So the new generation 7000, they are Wi-Fi enabled. You can connect to the Miele mobile app, and you can monitor your appliances from anywhere you want in your home. 6 hours in the steam oven, and yeah, we're going to take it out. So let's have a bit of a look-see. Okay, watch out for your steam. Stand back. Now we're going to strain the beef bone broth. We're going to separate the liquids from the solids. You want to get yourself a strainer, get yourself a ladle, get yourself a nice big jug, and we're going to get ourselves a little tea towel just on our bench here, because under the tray or under the container that I've cooked the beef broth in, you're going to have a little bit of moisture. So we just want to make sure that we put that on there so it doesn't slip and we don't get any moisture on our bench. And carefully lift it over. It will be heavy. So there we go. So there's our broth ready to be strained. Close our steam on. And then what we're going to do now is just carefully ladle all the liquid with some of the solids. Just over into the strainer. Now take your time, don't be too rushed. Last thing I want you to do is actually pour it. We're not going to lift this up and pour it into the strainer. We're just going to carefully ladle it. And the reason we're doing that is, if we were to pour it straight directly into the actual strainer here, all the ingredients would compound on each other and we'd actually get a cloudy bone broth, and we don't want a cloudy bone broth. Once you get to the point where you've got a lot of the liquid out of the container, you may need to just grab some tongs and just lift up, the bones, lift up the aromatic ingredients, the vegetables, just so you can get into more of that liquid. Now, before I fill my bowl up too much, I've still got a bit of liquid in there I can get out, but what I want to do, save going to another bowl or container here, I'm just going to halt it right there, stop that there. I'm just going to just move this out of the way for you because I want to show you how to drain off the fat. Okay, it is a bit messy. I'll make a bit of mess here and there, but that's cooking. Okay, let's get this here. You should be able to see that. Let me just get that right there. Look at this big container of beef bone broth. Let me hold it up there. Ooh, yeah, it looks good. But there is that layer of fat. All right, so what we're going to do, we're going to just skim that off, okay? But you see the colour? Amazing colour. And the clarity, amazing clarity. That's cooking in the steam oven. That's awesome. Bone broth, got the fat on top, and we've got another bowl. We're going to get our ladle, which is here. Let me just make sure that's in the middle. There we go, because I can see myself there. All right, so we're going to get the ladle, and what we're going to do is, we're just going to, at this stage, just sort of push that ladle down, and we're going to put the fat there. Now, as you push the ladle down, you'll see the fat will just ladle into the ladle, and then we'll just discard that there. And when you get to the point where you think you've got enough of the fat removed, see what I'm doing here with the ladle? I'm going to push the fat to the outside. And as you go around, you then push the ladle down just to grab the fat. And we can go around. It's sort of hard to explain what I'm doing. It's one of those things you just got to look at. And we're then just removing that fat. Because if you get any fat left on your bone broth and then you actually drink and consume it, that fat will mask your palate and you won't be able to pick up the full flavour of the broth. So getting that fat removed is important. So see here, I'm just skimming. That's what we call skimming our broth, skimming our bone broth. And we're just going to remove the fat. So it's a bit of a tedious process. As I said, we want all that fat removed. Now, here's another little trick. If you find you cannot get all the fat off, which you won't be able to get all the fat off and you want to get it completely removed, what you do now is take your bone broth, put it in the fridge overnight, and when you come back tomorrow morning, what you'll find is that fat would have solidified. You can just simply lift it off and remove that fat, and then you'll have a perfectly clean, well clarified beef bone broth. I really hope you make it for your families. It's an amazingly easy bone broth to prepare and made even simpler in the Miele steam oven. It's been my pleasure. Happy cooking. Enjoy the broth. I'm going to show you 3 pretty neat ideas on how to actually consume your beef bone broth. Me personally, I just like to sip on it. Think of it like a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, especially in the morning, first thing, or before a meal, or after a meal, before you go to bed. So that's the way I like to consume beef bone broths. I'm just going to show you like 3 little sort of like mix-ins, just ingredients you can add to get 3 different flavour profiles. Example number 1. What we're going to do is we're going to serve the beef broth in a nice little cup, and I'm going to serve it with some sliced shiitake mushrooms, some little golden enoki mushrooms are really awesome, some tofu, and a little bit of miso. I'm just going to put the shiitakes in the cup. Some of these little golden enoki mushrooms, really cute. Some tofu. This is silken tofu. And I've got a little bit of miso, a little white blonde miso paste. Now, what we're going to do, before I put the miso in, I'm just going to just get a little bit of the miso paste. And I'd like to dilute it with a little bit of the warm bone broth. So by diluting it, it's just going to incorporate better. Just stir it with a little bit of the hot bone broth. So there we go, all mixed in. And we'll just pour that in first. Top up with the bone broth. There we go. Here's mix in number 1. So we've got the beef bone broth with shiitake mushrooms, some golden enoki mushrooms, tofu, and miso. Suggestion number 2 is we're going to use some freshly minced ginger, fresh turmeric, and some finger lime. Now, filming this right now, it's still quite warm up in Queensland, so there is still a few finger limes bouncing around the market. By the time you watch this video, you're probably not going to get finger lime. So what I really wanted to do first was serve it with fresh lemongrass. I couldn't find any lemongrass today, but please substitute the finger lime with either lemongrass, or you could just use fresh lime or kaffir lime. In with a little bit of the minced ginger, freshly minced turmeric, and here are these bad boys. These are the finger limes. These are awesome. They're going to offer some really nice freshness. But as I said, lemongrass is okay. So squeeze those in there. There we go. Love these finger limes. Then we're going to top up with the hot bone broth. And there we are. There's suggestion number 2. Now the third idea on how to serve your beef bone broth is going to be some finely shredded cavolo nero, Tuscan kale, some fresh lemon juice, and some freshly grated horseradish. So to serve this, get some of our freshly shredded cavolo nero, chiffonade, pop that in there. Now if you didn't have cavolo nero, you could use some Savoy cabbage or normal cabbage. You could use some finely shredded parsley if you wanted to. Fresh lemon juice, so there we go, just one or two little wedges. Depends how sharp you want it. I'm going to go to I really like the burst and freshness of lemon. Just leave that in there if you want it as well. And then we have our freshly grated horseradish. So I'm just going to grate this on a plate first. Now this is going to give it a real bit of zing. Or as much or as little as you want. The fresh horseradish does creep up on you. So there we go. I'm just going to put just a little tip of a teaspoon in there, and then like the other ones, and there we are. That's our third little recipe idea, or third serving suggestion for how we can consume our beef bone broth at home. So I really hope you enjoyed the video. This is a really nice recipe to make. Now if you've got leftover beef bone broth, what you can do, you can freeze it. It freezes really well. You can pop it in little ice cubes, you can pop it in containers, you can pop it in a little vacuum sealing bag and vacuum seal it if you have a vacuum sealing drawer. I look forward to joining you again in the future. I might even share with you a chicken bone broth and some more recipe ideas as well. Beef bone broth is really simple to make, very good for you, really restorative, and there's 3 really nice serving suggestions for you. So I'll catch you next time. Happy cooking.